Hello fellow gardeners. So this is Phil the Practical Gardener again, and this particular topic is about growing capsicums. Now the capsicum genus does include chilies as well as sweet peppers, or capsicums as we call them in our country. I like to grow a few of them every year, not nearly as many as I do tomatoes or onions or potatoes, which are more main crops. However, it is useful to have them, and both of those types of capsicum, that is to say sweet peppers and chilies, are very good for you. As you can see, I actually grow my capsicums in my tomato house. That is because they are related plants and they like very similar conditions, so it suits me to grow them together. This house that I'm growing them in is protected from any pests that could enter and be a problem to them. So since the same pests attack both tomatoes and capsicums, I can protect them both in the same way. I have capsicums in this house. You can see here they're just coming on for ripeness. As they colour up, they do get healthier for you. However, they are fine eaten green. I've got several different varieties here. And also on this side here, I have got some chili plants. And I see that this one here is now pretty well ready for eating, but I won't try now because it is actually a very hot variety. So let's talk a little bit about the culture requirements for capsicums and chilies. They're technically a perennial plant, but they're usually grown as an annual through the growing season in the temperate zones. As they are attractive plants with colourful fruits, they can be grown in pots on a patio or a sunny deck. These can provide a suitable environment for these warmth-loving plants. If you wish to grow the plants yourself, they can be started from seed in early spring in a greenhouse or windowsill, sown at the same time as tomato seeds. The seedlings can be planted out once the danger of frost is past and the soil and air have warmed up reliably. The alternative is to purchase plants from a garden store at this time. Now, since most gardeners grow less capsicums or chilies than tomatoes, it may be more economical to simply buy a few plants rather than going to the trouble of growing them yourself. The position should be sunny and ideally well sheltered, as the plants dislike wind. The plants can be grown for most of their growth stages in a hooped cloche, which will provide both warmth and shelter. The soil should be fertile, containing ample organic matter, as the plants are hungry. It is important that the soil contains nutrients in balanced proportions. If there is excessive nitrogen, you will get lush foliage but few fruit. Phosphorus, potassium and magnesium, along with trace elements, are needed for fruit production. As I've mentioned with other videos, because of my regime of returning all organic matter back onto the soil of my property, I don't need to add any fertilizer or any other supplements. These plants here have just been grown under a chop and drop regime, and also adding my own homegrown compost. If the site is a windy one and the variety tall growing, put a stake into the ground before planting the seedlings, preferably on the side of the prevailing wind. Space the plants about 50 centimeters, that is 18 inches or so, apart. If you wish, spread some compost as mulch around the plants. This will assist with the provision of nutrients, moisture retention and weed control. Again, if the plants are taller growing varieties, tie them loosely to stakes as they develop. Capsicum plants are brittle. The side stems readily break off if not supported. Maintain watering and ensure the plants are kept weeded throughout the growing season. You may need to apply a side dressing during the season if your soil lacks fertility. Watering and feeding are especially important if the plants are grown in bags or pots. With most varieties you can pick the fruits while still green, which will increase the overall harvest. However, as I mentioned before, the flavour and health benefits of capsicums are enhanced when the fruits are allowed to develop full colour. As the plants can become infected with the same diseases, particularly virus ones, as tomatoes, it is best to remove all of the plant parts at the end of the growing season, including the roots, and dispose of them in the same way that you would tomato plants. I actually put these into an area of my garden where they will never be returned to the vegetable garden, that is to say, usually my orchard area under my fruit trees, where they serve a further purpose of fertilising those fruit trees. So that's it for my tip on capsicums. I'm very interested in your comments or questions that you might have about growing capsicums. Don't forget to share and also like this video. And finally, of course, as always, thank you very much for viewing this video through through to the end.